How good was the podcast?
It was so good.
Like, I just want to take my camera and go outside now.
Danay like knocked it out of the park again.
Yeah, and there was so much like mutual appreciation and respect between them. Like I felt really happy for them to get the chance to connect on this level. Like they were so excited about it. I love that so much. I felt lucky to be a fly on the wall.
Absolutely.
He just had so much to say from off the bat. And rather than, from Danay's perspective, to force the interview to go a certain direction, she always sort of follows where the person goes and gives them time and space to really sort of talk about the ideas behind their work. She gets people to really speak from the heart in an amazing way.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's just her being her.
She put so much work in preparing these. I think it's kind of like how she approached the scene, the way Adam described it. She comes prepared, but then she comes with an open mind.
She has a very inviting personality. When she asks something, it's easy to be like, let me really give you an in-depth, perspective and answer on it. I really like hearing like stuff about behind the scenes, like so many things you never think of. There's a lot of things in a lot of these podcasts that she's had that boil down to surroundings. I think your family and who you are surrounded by is really important in shaping what you do and who you are. And I love that his family recognized that and like helped him grow.
Nurture that.
Yeah.
He also said, I became fascinated at the age of 3? So it was both the environment and the fact that he latched onto it.
I can definitely imagine how it would just be really difficult to find your own path in a career that, both your father and your grandfather were doing.
I love that they were talking about that. And I love that he said it, instead of being a shadow, it ended up being an inspiration. It kind of relates back to the episode with Karen, where instead of being jealous, you can be inspired. If that's what you can do with your surroundings to let them inspire you and not intimidate you, that's what's going to bring you further.
Yeah.
I love when he spoke about the different styles, because you can see it in every movie or series. There's always a different style.
Yeah. You know what I thought was interesting when he said, I want to be a more sensitive storyteller in a way that in the end, what I do is so subtle that you don't notice the process when you're watching it. The funny thing about Fear is that one of the things I noticed from the get-go is how fascinated I was with the cinematography. And not in a way that it drew me out of the story, but more in a way of, I love the perspective I'm getting to see this, to be a witness to this story.
I'm not a fan of the zombies and stuff.
You should see Nina's face when we have a watch party. Like every time there's something gory, she's like, ugh.
Especially noises. But the things that really attract me to watching the show is, of course, the amazing actors, but also how it's all filmed. The work that Adam does on the show is just amazing.
There's so many factors to the storytelling. And if you imagine that each of those factors is done by one or more people that really dedicate their life to it, it just becomes so much bigger than an hour of TV every week.
Adam said the collaboration in filmmaking is so special.
Yeah.
Also, when he gave props to Michael Satrazimus, saying how much he learned from him. Something that really stood out to me, though, was when he said the best thing you can give your child is confidence.
Yeah, I thought of you guys.
How his father told him, you have a gift and you have to use it. I'm like, wow, that's me and my baby boy right there.
Baby boy's like, don't touch my new hair, Dad.
You're messing up my fro hawk.
I really liked what he was explaining about setting the tone before the actors get there. You have to really have a good imagination to be like, okay, so I'm going to need this person over here, and you know what, let's put a light over here, and you got to really have a good vision for that.
I love that he is painting in his head. I love that all arts in every form really connects with each other.
One thing I love about Fear is that even though there's fiction, there's still real life situations that happen in the show. Like, for example, season 1 was the whole riots and the world panicking. That's exactly what happened last year.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, a lot of what the show is the human condition or human psychology in the backdrop of a crisis. And in this case, the crisis is zombies, but it could be so many other things.
There's so many different characters.
Yeah.
Which way would you go?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They've been really great at telling stories too that touch our hearts.
Oh my
and really
God.
pull at our emotions.
It would be nice to have an episode I don't cry at, though. I mean,
You know, another thing I thought was interesting that they talked about is the delicacy of your creative soul, and like the fact that it can be such a force to move people, and that question of what keeps it alive, what keeps it hungry, what keeps it strong.
Back to the curiosity.
Yeah, which did not kill the cat.
I like that he mentioned you can just use your phone, because there's a lot of people that don't do certain things because they think like, well, I don't have the tools.
Yeah, the equipment.
Yeah, I mean, really, you can start out just using your phone.
I love taking pictures and then coming back that evening and then going through them. Me and Zachary look through them and then find different things and talk about, oh, we could have did this, we could have did that. We love observing the world. I love people watching.
I've always been an observer ever since I was little, and I took a lot of photos, a lot of videos. It's really like looking back at all the memories that you made and all the observings that you did.
Adam said, always challenge yourself.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing he was saying was, I keep asking myself question upon question. Like, why does this work? Why does that not work? What is it about this that moves me? Like those kind of questions. I think a lot of the time when we're doing stuff, we're in a performance mode where you're trying to do your best. And there's another mode where you're doing things with the goal of evolving. If you compare that to your driver's lessons and your driver's exam, at the end of your exam, if he told you, okay, you passed, but if you really want to be a good driver, take a couple of extra lessons to focus on this. Most people will be like, I passed, whatever.
I'm out.
If you hear that in your lesson,
Cool story, bro.
learning mode, and then you're going to take that seriously because you want to learn and get better. It totally depends which mindset you're in.
And one thing I loved Adam saying was also, you have to absorb creativity.
That's why it's so important. What Danay was saying is the type of books that you read and the type of stuff that you watch. And, you know, that's why it's so important, because you're absorbing that energy and that attitude.
I think there's a difference also between absorbing in a passive way where everything around you, you absorb some of it, and absorbing in an active, reflective way, which is what he does when he's in a museum, when he's like asking all the questions and really consciously trying to take everything in. I think that's something that we might forget in the pace of daily life, or at least that's something I recognize, that when I really stand still and look at the roses, like Danay was saying, things look different then.
It's mindfulness, 100%.
Yeah.
When you notice your taste, I mean, you can do it with almost all your senses, but like just really taking time to think about the taste of something, and you'll realize that you'll have a different experience with that than just shoveling it in and like going and doing something else.
The story at the end too, where Adam told her to step aside so he could look at the background.
You can see the passion for his work in that.
Just that little story like shed a lot of light on his perspective. We really do look at the world in different ways, you know, but they're able to use how they look at the world and channel that into a craft.
Thank you, everybody. So happy to see
Thank
your
you, Sean, and
smiles.
thanks everyone.